Hello, I'm Reverend John Vandenberg, and I'm happy to be here with you today on this first message past Easter. Easter was such an incredible moment for so many Christians. The good news of the resurrection of our Lord, and sharing that not only with each other in our homes, but many people watched videos and listened to messages, watched it on television or on the internet. They read. And for Christians, it was a day of good news. But this is what I'd like to say, is there's a balancing act we're doing right now. Perhaps some of you remember Anne Marie recorded a song a number of years ago called A Little Good News. It was a lament about the sadness that was going on in the world at the time. There was economic meltdown and skyrocketing interest rates and robberies and kidnappings and religious war. And it seemed to be that story on the television and in the newspaper all the time. Nothing but bad, sad news. And it was a continuous bombardment that eroded the hope of many people's lives because they only focused on the world and they forgot about the good news. They were looking for a little good news. And I guess maybe that's why this song came back to me this week as I prepared this message. Because the song approaches the question, what if the news folks just announced that they really didn't have anything bad to talk about? They were just going to talk about good things instead. They were going to talk about all the good news that was going on. A utopic, incredible moment, wouldn't it be? But we know it's exactly that, don't we? We'll experience that when we're in heaven. We'll never experience it here on earth. Because we know that here we have been promised that there will always be troubles. And there always has been. They're nothing new or news to God's people. There has never been a time, however, that there also wasn't hope. And the hope has always been in God. We find the word hesed, the Hebrew word hesed from the Old Testament, means the steadfast, covenantal loyalty of God. And it's God's promise and devotion to his people. Now, in Lamentations, which was written over the years after the temple was destroyed and the people had lost their way and their hope, and they didn't feel they had a future, there was nothing normal about their spiritual life anymore. It had gone. There was nothing normal about their life, period. Everything had changed. And so, truthfully, it would have been easy for them to fall into the trap of forgetting God's promises. But all through Lamentations, we find this word hesed. Listen to what they say in Lamentations 3:17-26. Peace has been stripped away, and I have forgotten what prosperity is. I cry out, my splendor is gone. Everything I hoped for from the Lord is lost. The thought of suffering and homelessness is bitter beyond words. I will never forget this awful time as I grieve over my loss. Yet, I still dare to hope when I remember this. The faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh each new morning. I say to myself, the Lord is my inheritance. Therefore I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who depend on him, to those who search for him. So it is good to wait quietly for the salvation from the Lord. I started off this series of video messages with a message called "Welcome to the Wilderness." And this is where the Jews find themselves at the moment. They find themselves in the wilderness. And so, as I told you in that message, the wilderness is not a bad place. It's not a bad place. It's a place where God helps his people to find out who they are and whose they are. Now, it's also a place of physical hardship and personal sacrifice, but it's a time of spiritual growth, growing closer to God. But here is something important for us to remember, and the writer of this lamentation points it out so clearly. God's people have never been left in the wilderness. God always leads them out. God is always with them, and God never leaves them alone. And that's the good news of the lamentation that we just read. For us, when we hope, we come out of the wilderness. And for those that wonder, is what we're doing, waiting on the Lord, keeping our faith in the Lord, staying strong, making a difference? The answer is yes. Now, I know probably you have too. I've read many different articles and papers telling us that we need to find out a way to get out there and share the gospel, to tell people to live out the Great Commission. And that's fine. But in this moment, it's okay also to lament the loss of what we had. And to sift through the ashes of this new normal for the church. And to wonder where God's going to lead us. And it's okay to ask God the hard questions. And it's okay to cry out to God and say, Lord, why are you doing this to us? Where are we going? It's okay, because God is not bigger than our questions. God's people have always turned to God in times of trouble. But God's people have always had doubt and worry and concern during times of trouble. There's a writing from 1 Peter 1, 3 through 9 that goes like this: All praise to the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. It is by his great mercy that we have been born again, because God raised Jesus Christ from the dead. Now we live with great expectation, and we have a priceless inheritance. A inheritance that is kept in heaven for you, pure and undefiled, beyond the reach of change and decay. Through your faith, God is protecting you by his power until you receive this salvation, which is ready to be revealed on the last day for all to see. So, be truly glad. There is wonderful joy ahead, even though you have to endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It's being tested as fire tests and purified gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. So when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed to the whole world. You love him even though you have never seen him. And though you do not see him now, you trust him. And you rejoice with glorious, inexpressible joy. The reward for trusting him will be the salvation of your souls. The inability to see any good news in the middle of a crisis, as I said, is not new or news to the follower of Jesus. And God's people have always been trying to figure out how to honor and obey their God while living under somebody else's authority. However, our good news is not founded in the world. It's founded in the things of God. Now, I'm not sure whether you've noticed this, but here is good news. People have been talking more about God in the past few months than they did at Christmas time. And it's not just the faithful. It's people who don't normally talk about God. don't normally pray, don't normally concern themselves with religion. They are also talking about God. Now, according to Google Trends, which is a tracking device that Google uses to see how many searches are being done on certain words, and the word God, Jesus, prayer, hope, and blessing have soared since the outbreak of COVID-19. Let us continue to pray for them that they will find God. Because after all, the good news has never just been for us alone to keep and hold on to. Christ died for everyone so that all could be reconciled.